foot catamarans in class. And there's your lineup for today's race.
Number 18, Doug Wright DeFalco, is on the pole with Billy Moore and Mike Falco. Hank Saloon is with Kobe Harrison from Daytona Beach on driving his first race. Edwin Shear is on the throttles. Montlick Injury Attorneys, Gary Ballou is on the throttles. The driver is Logan Adan. And Gladiator Canados with owner Michelle Carcenti on the throttles. So France and Urban Grant is on the wheel.
So the Doug Wrights are 38-foot catamarans. All of these boats are powered by 450R Mercury racing engines. These boats weigh 6,500 pounds. They have a 72-inch tunnel, the widest tunnel of any boat, any catamaran in APBA racing. Their tunnels are even bigger than the Super Cat you'll see tomorrow.
And when we refer to a tunnel, that is the area in between the two hulls on a catamaran underneath the deck.
Yeah, the wing between the two tunnels, they pack the air down the tunnel. It compresses the air, it lifts the boat out of the water. The key to getting these boats fast, I mean, water is 800 times denser than air. You've got to get them up and out of the water, but you got to make them stick to the water because you don't want them to fly like an airplane wing.
Okay, if we could hold this shot, we got a green flag. Let's see who jumps out to a lead.
So we're looking over top from the X Insurance Helicam, the start of Factory 450R here today.
Montlick Attorneys in lane 3 is out to an early start, but so is Hank Saloon. And here comes Billy Moore and Mike Falco on the inside. They should have the advantage, having the shortest way around the course.
These boats are running 13 laps here today.
And this is a 4-mile course, and they're running counterclockwise. So let's see how turn 1 shakes out. They're going to be coming past us any second. You'll see them come onto the camera view. What a good race we have starting off here.
Yep.
Oh, whoa. Over goes Gladiator right in front of us. Gladiator Canados got loose, and they came out right side up, which is a good sign. But there's some debris in the water, so that's probably going to give us a red flag right from the beginning.
I would imagine so.
Looked like they just got a little bit loose off of a roller.
This is that ocean swell incoming that you have to deal with here.
And they were in the outermost lane, the closest to the beach. So they could have had the worst of the swell as it was getting towards shore. But the main thing we want to see is we want to see them come out of that cockpit and be all right.
So right now
if we could get the camera back on the start-finish line.
Yeah, I'm seeing a red flag on one boat.
Yep.
We're going to have divers in the water. We're definitely no, maybe we did not. The diver's getting back in the chopper.
They've emerged from the cockpit. They're going to have to get some of the debris out of the water. I don't know how much of the starboard engine they lost.
Well, right now we're indicating that we're still running.
We're in a yellow. We're not in a red. So that means you still race. So
I did see a red flag hanging off a boat on the far side of the course initially. We'll go back and looks like everybody's okay. Took a hard hit there. Urban Grant, Michelle Carcente. Montlick looks like it's running off speed.
Well, you also don't know what they're getting from their land-based communications. Whether they think that there was a red flag, but we're only seeing yellow on the screen, so we're only seeing what you folks are seeing at home. But a yellow would mean you keep going, you just operate cautiously. And this is Billy Moore and Mike Falco out in the lead.
They look like they're running at power.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll have to see how it shakes out. We're not going to speculate too much, but
our producers are listening to comms, so we don't see a yellow flag. We don't see a red flag on that boat. So I assume we are still racing.
Now I would imagine you're seeing the Doug Wright DeFalco on the screen. When they come past, they are taking the turn now at the north end of the course. When they come past here, because the Seep Tow boat has the Gladiator Canados secured, and they're just going to try to get it to the inside of the course so this race can continue. But Hank Saloon is already down on power. They're running very slow on the north end. And here the X Insurance helicopter is showing us the Doug Wright DeFalco boat. So right now they're running well. Now we have a red flag.
Yeah, red flag has come out. I had to expect that. They'll have to have a restart here. on this race once they can make sure all of the debris is cleared from the water. I mean, and that Gladiator.
Yep, they're going to do a restart.
Yeah,
JW just told us.
Canados gets towed out of the area safely. Honestly, I don't see the starboard side engine. Do you?
No, I don't. And
The starboard side.
you saw it kind of start to pick up just as it entered our vantage point. The boat got kind of light and loose, and then when it came down, I wonder if it came down on that starboard side and it kind of pulled it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But lots of speculation at this point. The main thing is there's two guys sitting or standing on the boat looking like they're at least okay. The canopy did its job, and Troy Hannon, Supreme Marine, who rigged the boat, is going to have some work to do to get it ready for the next time they go out and race.
Boat rolled up on its side and then made an impact with an incoming wave and just went over.
I was
right in front of
expecting
the
it
fans.
to. I was expecting it to be upside down at the end.
Yeah.
I was surprised, relieved that it ended up upside, right side up, which is always preferred. But now you've got, cowl's gone. That motor, even the motor that's still on there is probably going to have to be pickled because of the salt water, and you don't know how much salt water got inside the back of the boat to mess with the electronics. So tough day for them. Beautiful boat. It was a good start. But Michelle's a veteran. I don't think this is going to phase him too much.
It's unfortunately part of racing, and these boats, it's a delicate balance to drive them. It's why you have a driver and a throttle man. Driver concentrating on steering and the throttling and controlling the power and the trim, the angle of the boat. We had a nice start going there before Gladiator Canados.
I don't think there was any kind of infringement or lane violation or anything like that. I don't think anyone got in front of anybody else. It happened. It's a race. As the other guys like to say in the other motorsports, it was a racing incident.
Gladiator Canado's out of this race and causing a red flag here in Ocean City, Maryland on the first day of the APBA national race here, the Ocean City Grand Prix.
So we didn't even complete lap 1, right?
No, we never even really got, right, we never got started with the official count of laps here.
So I'm wondering if they're standing by for the restart, but I'm wondering if it's still going to be 13 laps because how much fuel did they account for?
I mean, we didn't even have a lap.
Right. We had the start of what
Correct.
would be lap 1.
So the boats will have to go back with the exact same starting procedure, mill around 2.
I'm just surprised that motor's gone. I don't know if there's a lower unit there or not, if just the power head got tore out, but it doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it's dragging anything, that's for sure. Hazards of racing here today. In the factory 450R class, it's confirmed from race control that the
motor
they
is
have
gone.
lost the motor. They will go and recover that, salvage that, of course.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it out
race.
there with all the fluids in it and everything.
No, it's
because 4-strokes have oil in them.
So the boat being towed off the course, and we'll have a restart here momentarily. An unexpected mishap at the beginning of our factory 450R race here in Ocean City, Maryland. Live coverage at Race World Offshore's Facebook page and the YouTube channel, brought to you by Maximum Inflation. Also live locally here at RadioOceanCity.com. It's been...
Yeah, they did just say that they marked the motor with GPS for salvage later. I would imagine they'll have to wait till this race is done to try to go retrieve it.
We'd also like to thank Bull on the Beach for helping sponsor the Ocean City Grand Prix, open pit beef, hand-cut steaks, and raw bar. Also the Hilton Garden Inn, oceanfront, private balconies, and indoor pool. and by Racing Communications, IndyCar, NASCAR, two-way communication solutions.
And you say that, there's something for everyone down here?
Yes.
I was walking down and, driving down to the meeting this morning. I passed a hotel that says it has an indoor ice rink.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, really?
Hey, something for everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of sports tournaments going on in the area as well. I saw lacrosse teams when I was coming in, and talk about a nice venue for a sports tournament instead of some dusty sports complex in the middle of nowhere.
Right. Yep. So with a break in the action, we are expecting the 450R boats to queue back up and
Yeah,
get
they're
into
back up in the milling area.
Yeah, they're back up in the milling area, and we'll have racing again just here momentarily as we continue on at the Ocean City Grand Prix.
Yeah, we weren't able to give you the lanes in the last race, but the DeFalco boat had lane 1, and number 39 is Hanks, right? Hanks was lane 2.
Right.
Yep, and then Montlick was lane 3. So that's how they will line up.
Yeah,
again.
and Gladiator Canada's had the outside. Yeah.
And then the rules are when you get to lane 1, you hold your lane. And then after that, if you can establish overlap, you can move to other lanes.
Yeah, when you go back and watch that, you will notice how absolutely close Gladiator Canada was to the beach. It's how close, as a spectator down on the beach, you get to see these boats. And important to note, Eric, that's generally not the case on beach races. This is one of the closest vantage points that I've ever seen at a national race for the fans that are down on the beach, how close the boats are racing to shore.
I mean, I've been to Palm Beach a couple times, and that was pretty close, but not as close as this, because I remember the morning of the race when I was down there, and a bunch of us were standing on the shore, and all of a sudden this guy comes into the surf break in a 22 Scarab and gets caught broadside to the waves, and the boat flips over, he gets tossed out, and the next thing I know, Gary Ballew's running down the beach. He jumps in the water and goes and hauls the guy out.
Right now, race officials telling us they're waiting on Angel 1 to get back situated. You know, one cool thing that we heard from Sean Steinert, the Director of Medical and Safety here, and by the way, that's one of the huge things that you don't see going on, that you saw them deployed just now on screen if you were watching the live stream, and if you're down on the beach, you saw the chopper come forward. The safety boats have divers on them as well. There's a 15-man crew of professional firemen,
divers, EMTs,
right? Former Navy military personnel that Sean Steinert and J.R. Anderson's crew that are here. And one thing that was super cool that Sean told us at the drivers' meeting, the cooperation from the United States Coast Guard is always fabulous, but here in Ocean City, the United States Coast Guard approved a landing zone for the safety chopper, where if a diver had to deploy, it's close here to the course. The chopper doesn't have to go fly off somewhere far away. And the U.S. Coast Guard was was instrumental in giving them that LZ, the landing zone.
Because I mean, the guy that you saw in the footage, the diver who almost deployed.
That's right.
But he wasn't being like cold-hearted or something and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to help them." It was determined by a coordinated effort that the guys were okay and they could use a diver from a boat rather than having to drop one from the helicopter. So it just logistically it worked. It worked out. But that was all communicated and coordinated. And these guys, the racers love them.
Oh, wow.
They say time and again how much they appreciate these guys being here, because you got to be able to go out and do your job in these boats, and the guys will tell you that they can't do that as effectively if they're like worried about what's going to happen to them possibly.
And if you're new to the sport here in Ocean City, you've never watched one of these catamarans, and there are canopied V-bottom boats as well, but these catamarans, and one reason why the diver didn't deploy was the boat was upright. And the biggest concern is when a boat goes over and it's upside down. It's a canopied boat. The driver and throttle man are strapped into the boat. of course, with full safety gear. But you've got to make sure that they're okay. They're upside down. If they're up, and the diver goes in the water, there's actually a hatch on the top of the tunnel where they can get into the cockpit. So they
and that's the floor of the boat.
That's right.
For the driver and the throttleman.
That's right.
So that's usually how they come out, rather than going out through underneath them, basically.
Right.
But we've got the boats lined up again with a yellow flag, so the pace boat's going to get them on plane, and when they feel that they've got a good, legal, evenly competitive start, the green flag will go, and we'll get this thing going again.
So the DeFalco Doug Wright will have the inside lane. Hank's Saloon out of Key West, Florida. That's where their sponsor is from. Yeah, we'll have lane 2, and Montlick Injury Attorneys, your national leader on the APBA series, will be sitting in lane 3.
I'm surprised they kind of pulled them up and then stopped them, because the yellow's still up.
13 laps, 52 miles. Here for Factory 450R, these boats again are 38, 39 feet. These are all Doug Wright, so they're all 38 with the twin 450R 4-stroke engines. The 450R is built on the same block as the 300R, which another class Superstock runs.
It's just supercharged.
It's supercharged with forced induction to the power head.
Here we go.
The extra 150 horsepower provides a lot of air boost to the motor and torque on the low end, and a maximum RPM limit set to 6,400 RPM. And there's our 3 boats that'll be racing. Doug Wright's.
Okay,
all
the
of them.
rooster tails have just come up, so there must be a green flag just off the screen, because they're not going slow now. You can see DeFalco, Doug Wright getting out to a good start. Hanks is falling back. So I wonder if they had an issue before the race was red flagged and it's just rearing its ugly head again. But look at Montlick on the outside now.
Yep.
Pulling out to a little bit of a lead.
This is where Gladiator Canos had some trouble. You can see
Let's just
that
see how
Montlick is struggling with attitude a little bit on that outside lane.
DeFalco just took a little bit of a hop there too, so there's something right by the start buoy that we're going to need to keep an eye on, but they got through that okay, and now DeFalco, Doug Wright, is holding the inside lane, the shorter line around the course.
And Montlick has to hold this outside lane until he gets through turn number 1.
Right.
Can't move over. He's got to until he gets up here to turn 1.
And this has quickly developed into a 2-boat race, because off the screen, Hanks's, so there's Hanks, you can see, is they're off the pace. First thing that comes to mind when you see that is some type of a guardian issue where the engine senses something and goes basically into a shutdown mode to protect itself. That's what the computers are on there for.
Mike Falco and Billy Moore leading in the DeFalco Doug Wright team, trailed by the Montlick Injury Attorneys team. That's
Gary
Logan
Ballou.
Adon and Gary Ballou as his throttle man. We follow them on the back stretch, now heading northbound here on this 4-mile course.
Both of them look like they have a now Montlick has just moved to the inside. Let's see. And Hank's Saloon is still running. I mean, they're going to run as long as they can to try to get the points. If it's a season-long consideration, then they want to get as many points as they can at every race they go to.
76 degrees here in Ocean City, a west-northwest wind, 12 miles an hour, as the red Doug Wright DeFalco has about a 6-boat length lead.
We'll see what the interval is when they come by us at the buoy here. But the boat looks good, it's holding a good attitude. Billy Moore didn't have much time in this boat to try to do any setup. Gary Ballou didn't have any more time in the Montlick boat. They're both new teams in these boats, but they're experienced throttlemen. So as the race goes on, don't be surprised if the lap times get quicker.
Making the turn at number 2.
I don't think this is what Kobe Harrison had in mind for his first race, but He's still getting the experience of being in a race boat.
And we get a good look at the air packing down the tunnel of the 38 Doug Wright, getting a little bit more bounce than they like.
Yeah, let's see what happens when he comes by start-finish here, because that's where. And look at this shot from the X-Insurance helicopter.
Yeah, Montlick Injury Attorneys team, Logan Adon and Gary Ballou running in second in factory 450R.
Everyone settling in now to their. And
DeFalco Doug Wright turned that
I
lap
got
at
4 seconds
about
between
80
the two.
miles an hour.
So DeFalco 1, Montlick 2.
They're running very cautiously here after the early turnover of Gladiator Canados. Turned the boat completely over, tore the starboard engine off right in front of the start-finish line as the race was opening.
See now if Gladiator had those bright green cowlings, it would make it a lot easier for the salvage guys to get that motor out of the water.
Yeah, it would. It's pretty. Didn't it have orange? I thought it was covered.
It has some orange on the
Yeah,
top on that
yeah.
like stripe down the middle.
So it won't be super hard, that's for sure. As we look on top, Mike Falco giving get a go in the factory 450R class.
Yep.
With Billy Moore, who's an experienced outboard operator.
Yeah, Mike seems to like to just get in any boat he can. I ran into him at the Outer Limits Owners 30th Anniversary Fun Run last summer. He was there in his Outer Limits.
Yeah, he's. I asked him about his poker running and high performance boating. He says, right now I'm focused on racing. And now he's giving it a shot in one of the most popular new classes in powerboat racing,
And
Factory 450R.
And that boat is for sale.
Yep. And I mean, these boats are all out of the factory.
Yep, Doug Wright.
They have stock engines from Mercury. Everybody's got the same specs, the same power. It's one design racing.
Yeah, they will likely end up, I don't know, I think the class voted on switching to the 5, because the 450 is going to be phased out, from what I understand, and replaced with the new 500s as far as at the retail and consumer level. So that means the racers are probably going to do the same thing when the class decides to do it together.
And earlier I spoke with Michel Carcente about that, and he says these boats are going to be very fast. He expects that there will be a weight penalty, as Montlick looks to be making up some time, has to go to the outside, maybe able to make more speed around. He really went outside.
It'll be interesting to see how, I was just going to say, how if they get light being this close to the beach, because it's going to get bumpier as the water gets shallower, right?
Yeah, it does seem that
That was a very wide turn.
he is definitely getting out of the water more, closer to shore that they get.
And they're going to be dealing with the wake from Hanks, but not much. It's, even though Hanks is well off, the catamarans don't make a huge wake.
A good shot of how close these boats come in front of the fans at Ocean City. When you're thinking about planning your vacation at a powerboat race next year, imagine yourself right there.
And DeFalco is in the lead, and Montlick's coming up the outside. I would say it's 2 seconds, maybe now. I did not get the stopwatch out for that one, but he's definitely closed it.
Yeah, they're going to lap Hanks right now. Hanks having some troubles as they go to the outside. And DeFalco, Doug Wright turned that lap again right at about 80 miles an hour. I think they're using a lot of caution here. They know that there's only 2 boats out on the course.
And they just got to keep the one behind them.
Montlick with a nice line around.
Yeah, now
and
Montlick
take it
has
to the
moved to the inside.
Yeah, he's trying to stay out of that dirty water. We talked about that earlier. These boats want the clean water. It's why, obviously, if you're in the lead, you could take the line that you want. You get the clean water. Props don't have to go through aerated water. They grip better. But now
Montlick's crossing back through the. See, every time you go sideways, you're not going forward.
Right.
So he does he hurts himself a little bit time-wise there, but if he feels like he can get open water and be able to accelerate, I'm sure that Gary and Logan are kind of collaborating there, but they're getting a little looser. He's trimming a little more, so let's see what happens here.
As he stays just on his hip. Continues to run in second. Montlick Injury Attorneys has won 2 of the 3 races this year in factory 450R.
Yeah, and where we're going to have to watch things too is, was one boat set up better for the start and one boat set up better for later of the 13 laps? I mean, we're only on lap 3.
DeFalco, 1. Montlick Injury, 2.
Now, do you think this is a situation of you break it, you buy it?
Oh, that's cruel. There was something like that happened in Mod V in Lotto Lake of the Ozarks. Britt Lilly lent Steve Miklos an engine, and the crankshaft blew. And
see what happens there.
Yeah, no. And Steve already told me. He texted him immediately. He said, "Do you want cash or check?" So,
now this is a situation where you wonder if some might be watching this, because it looks like DeFalco took a wide turn there, which then forces Montlick. So you're wondering why Montlick maybe isn't trying to go inside, coming out of that north end to get away from the beach.
Well, there's a lot of racing still to go, as we just completed lap 3 of 13.
Yep, they're going to be
DeFalco, Doug Wright, Mike Falco, and Billy Moore continuing to lead right behind the Montlick Injury Attorneys. Just holding a steady lap, about 3-minute lap, 4-mile course, about 80 miles an hour. Look overhead at the X-Insurance Helicam, Logan Adon, and his throttleman Gary Ballou.
Yep. Montlick is based out of Atlanta.
But a national injury attorneys team, glad to have them on board.
Let's see now, are they going to try? Yeah, they're coming inside the turn now to try to shorten the course. Let's see what that did for him. I mean, Mike's going to defend his line the best he can, but let's see if now are they setting them up to try to come inside when they get to that north end of the turn, and if Mike Falco takes that wider line again, because he left the lane there if someone was there.
Well, there
the last 2 times.
They put the juice on, throttles down. Throttle man's got to stay on the power. If the boat comes out of the water, they have what they call lift, which is pull back on the throttles to make sure that they don't over rev the engines.
Yeah, and especially with these engines, because if they sense an over rev, they will go into that Guardian mode that we talked about, and then you'll lose power.
So it looks like DeFalco, Doug Wright has kind of shut the door on Montlick as we head back into the north turn.
Yeah, this is where DeFalco, Doug Wright has gone wide in the last couple of laps. So let's see if, no, because now Montlick went back outside again.
Same as the lap before. We'll have to get ready for the turn. Again, these boats are at the top end speed on the straightaways, but they have to set up for the turns. And races are generally won in the turn. You want to have as high entry speed as you can and high as exit speed as you can.
Now
look at,
Montlick tried to go inside, but I don't think Mike's giving him room.
No.
So he's defending his line.
They made a really wide turn there.
They went real wide there.
They made a super wide. Montlick dove inside, took advantage. A miscue by DeFalco, Doug Wright, and Montlick is pulled even with him and maybe a nose ahead. And he has the advantage in the inside line here.
But they're both flying it a little more coming out of that turn and coming south.
But DeFalco put the throttles down. Billy Moore did, and now his nose back ahead again. Great battle between Doug Wright powerboats, 38 catamarans with factory 450R Mercury racing engines. These are engines you can buy right out at the shop, 450R.
You just don't get the warranty when you race them.
That's right. And they continue to hold an 80-mile-per-hour speed.
Yeah, so I wonder what the conversation was on that turn between Mike and Billy.
As Hank Saloon continues to limp around the course. DeFalco number 1 and Montlake Injury Attorneys team number 2 as they go around that south turn.
And now Montlake's back inside again, seeing if he can get close enough to be able to stick a nose in there before. Because right now, DeFalco's still kind of in a defending mode. But now they're going to lap Hanks, so Montlake saw that, and they have to go around the outside because Hanks had the inside line, which is where the slower boat is told to run. The faster boats are supposed to overtake on the outside, so see how the strategy plays out.
So go back on top with the X Insurance Helicam and look down on Montlake again, as I mentioned earlier, leading the APBA National High Point Series, and this is a double points race, North Atlantic Championship, North American Championship on APBA. So a lot of points on the line here, especially for Montlake, who already has a commanding lead on the National Series.
Yeah, when that boat made its debut in a marathon, it looked good. And then it came back out and had a tough time in Cocoa Beach, but then ran real strong in Lake of the Ozarks, which is MTI's home waters.
That's right.
So you can imagine that probably felt pretty good to the Doug Wright team to go and do it there.
Watch those races. What expansive coverage they have at Lotto, Lake of the Ozarks, a local television, then distributed across a bunch of cable systems throughout the Missouri area. Of course, it was on live stream, and Rod Smith, Bob Teague doing a good job. Brad Harrington,
Lake TV.
Yeah, Lake TV. The commitment to media there in the lake area, which is a hub of high-performance powerboating, was pretty amazing what they put together visually for us to watch out there.
Yeah, that was they always put on a good event. I mean, if you've ever watched the shootout, that has turned into a week long.
Oh, probably the biggest, just
single event,
eye-popping event that happens in powerboating in the world is the Lake of the Ozarks shootout, where they do kilo runs and speed runs out in Missouri. There's the end of lap number 5.
Yeah, it's 2 seconds between first and second right now. So
that lap turned at 79.5 miles an hour. So at this point, this may be the strategy of these boats after the early flip of Gladiator Canados went over, busted an engine off right in front of the beach here, and caused a red flag, making sure everybody stays safe.
Making sure they have enough fuel.
That's another good point.
Because that's another lap that they weren't expecting to run.
The rest of the way.
And they calculated pretty close.
Tomorrow the racing resumes here at the Ocean City Grand Prix. Sunday at noon, the Mod Vs. Those are V-bottom canopy boats with home-build, naturally aspirated engines right in about the 650 horsepower range. And they turn speeds close to 100 miles an hour. You will be very impressed at these very loud sounding inboard engines, different manufacturers.
Single engine, narrow beam. They can get wild.
Yep.
They can get a little chine walking. But they're a great race to watch.
As we look overhead, the X Insurance Helicam with the Doug Ray powerboats. Then at
Hank Saloon.
Yep. At 1:30 tomorrow, the more V-bottoms come out, bracketed 2, 3, and 4, and the Super Vs will run. And then at 3 o'clock, the Super Cats, and they're the big catamarans with different engine manufacturers, canopy boats that top out at over 120 miles an hour. Of course, we talked about the United States Coast Guard and their commitment to excellence here in Ocean City, Maryland. Also, we want to thank the OCPD, the OC Fire Department, the RWO Medical,
Maryland DNR, Department of Natural Resources.
Yeah, doing a great job. The entire city of Ocean City pulling out all resources here to help make this event a great success on the Eastern Shore, Ocean City, Maryland. Coming around into lap number 7.
I've got into 6.
Yeah, 6. Double checking. So that's the end of 6 of 13.
I mean, Logan's trying everything. He's back and forth across this race course, and I'm sure Billy's telling Mike, just defend. Make him work.
As DeFalco comes through.
That's the end of 6.
Right, holding that 80-mile-an-hour lap speed. Trailed his rear by Montlick. Montlick Injury Attorneys. Some ups there. Settles the boat back down.
Still got 7 laps to go, so we're halfway through this lap.
Again, the 450R is built from the same block as the 300R. Again, as you mentioned,
Yep.
Eric, the supercharging is really the big difference. It also has a sophisticated pickup system. It's a little bit different than the 300R, which is more of a competition grade. It has the AMS, Advanced Midsection Integrated Steering System, with power steering and dual trim band that they use.
And then the 500 has a humidity sensor, and it accounts for the level of humidity, and so you don't get as affected by a real hot, humid day. So the technology that Mercury's putting into these motors is, and the thing is when I've done a few articles about them through the years, and they're planning this stuff out 3 and 5 years in advance. So they know what's coming down the line in like 2028 already.
Great shot of Montlick Injury Attorneys. Hey, a big shout out to Nikki Montlick, who joined us in Marathon. We've seen her at a couple of the other races on the live streams. And super to have Montlick Injury Attorneys, a nationwide firm, sponsoring APBA racing in the factory 450R class.
Yeah, just to see a group like that want to be here it's a boost for the sport anytime you can get a good sponsor in.
Yeah, and they're so interactive with the people when they get out to these events. Montlick Injury Attorneys running in second here in.
Yep, moved back to the inside, but they're not able to take the tight turn to try to duck underneath. I think Billy and Mike are still running the line they want. So they're making Gary and Logan maybe not do exactly what they want to try to cut into that lead.
Back to the leader, DeFalco, Doug Wright. The DeFalco team, Mike Falco and Billy Moore continuing to lead. This is the end of lap number 7 with 6 left to go in the Ocean City Grand Prix. Here off the beautiful beaches of Ocean City, Maryland, off the boardwalk. Magnificent beaches here, and the fans continue to enjoy. That's the fastest lap they turned today at 81 miles an hour.
And they're back out now to about a 4.5 second lead. How do you think that boat would look with that DeFalco Racing wrap like the Class 1 boat? I think that would look pretty nice.
That is a great livery on that boat. The New York Skyline.
That's cool.
The Class 1 boat. It is a classy.
And they have that Class 1 boat hauling the mail, too. There's just a little bit of consistency, a little bit of attrition is bitting them, but Billy's got that boat running fast.
Yeah, they had the lead in both starts this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't meet two nicer guys either. I think they probably have a good vibe together.
They're both so low-key.
They are very low-key.
Mike's kind of that low-key New York.
Yes.
How you doing?
Good, but always shake with a smile.
Always shake your hand.
Shake your hand, and he loves powerboat racing. On the wheel here with Billy Moore, and in the lead. Last year, that was the lead Doug Wright boat.
Yep.
That Logan Adon drove as just a rookie driver last year, and he's with Gary Ballou right now.
Yeah, the interval opened up to 6 seconds on the back leg. So Doug, so is the setup actually coming to Doug Wright DeFalco now, or?
One thing Gary Ballou told me after he watched Logan Adon race in marathon is that he said that kid drove one heck of a race.
Yes.
And throughout the year, he said it's amazing how, and we're talking about these amazing young people in the sport, and he echoed it again in Key West when I talked to him that he thought that Logan Adon was a fantastic driver. And now he's teamed up with him.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see
Gary Ballou and Logan Adon and the Montlick injury attorneys.
I'll be curious to see how they feel after working together for this race.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be together moving forward, from what I understand.
Looks like DeFalco has stretched out that lead a little bit more here as they come back in at the end of lap number 8. There'll be 5 more laps to go here in the Ocean City Grand Prix in the Factory 450R class as we get back to your leaders, Falco and Moore. Across the start-finish line, and they bumped it up to 82.5 miles an hour on that lap.
Yeah, and they opened up the interval now to close to 9.5 seconds. So I have that as the end of lap 7. Is that what you have?
That's correct. No, yeah, on to lap 8. Now,
yes. Okay.
Looking off at the boardwalk, the amusements there near the inlet.
Look at the crowd on that beach.
Yeah, on the south side of Ocean City Beach.
And then they get to see all the boats coming out and going in. So there'll be another test session this afternoon. So the people who want to just watch boats go fast up and down the coast, there will still be more boats out there.
I'd like to thank Tom Palazzo of the tourism board here. Stopped by earlier to talk with us about Ocean City. It was really interesting to hear him talk about the work that they put in keeping the beaches clean. You won't find a gum wrapper. You won't find any garbage. They clean it every night, turn it over.
Yep.
And it shows in the loyalty that the area tourism showing up here in droves every summer.
And if you don't think the people love these beaches, I looked out my balcony at 7:30. There was a woman sitting up her chair. And we're getting word that the interval opened up to 10 seconds on the back leg between basically 2 and 1.
Yeah, the DeFalco, Doug Wright, is putting on quite a race here today against the leader in the National Series, Montlick Injury Attorneys, who pretty much checked out against the fleet at Lotto.
Yep.
At Lake of the Ozarks.
And at Marathon.
Absolutely right. This is a new generation Doug Wright, the Montlick boat is. A brand new build. They put all kinds of custom stuff in it. Reinforced the deck. Put another bulkhead up by the pickle forks.
Just strengthen it, make it safer.
Made a big wing on the back to try and help funnel water to the lower units.
I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to what Billy Moore has to say about this boat.
Yeah, I am too.
Because it sure looks to me like he's enjoying it.
This is the
first,
the
Doug Wright DeFalco.
The first generation of their build. Montlick is the second, but it's last year's top Doug Wright boat to start the season that leads here in Ocean City after lap number 9. And again, turned to lap at over 81 miles an hour with 4 left to go.
And it's still about 10 seconds for an interval on the between first and second. So when do Billy and Mike start hearing things?
Well, you also got to consider, and again, we had a mishap at the very beginning of the race as Gladiator Canados went over in front of the crowd, turned over completely, and landed right side up, but busted off the starboard engine. We got a red flag. You have to consider, too, that Billy and Mike run together and have run together for a while. And I know it's a new boat, but Logan and Gary, this is their first time in the boat. And literally, they had just gotten into the boat together for the first time this week. So they don't have...
this morning.
Yeah, that's correct.
They had to spend yesterday getting the seating and the footrests and everything right for Gary to be able to fit. And just, because every person's a little different dimensionally. And so most of yesterday was just getting the cockpit altered so he'd be comfortable in there.
Look at a boat that made the journey here to Ocean City, but not a great day for them. They're struggling across the course. The Hanks Saloon out of Key West, Florida. As we go back to the X-Insurance Telecam to your leader here in Factory 450R.
So far, a good day for them.
Yeah, Mike Falco and Billy Moore. All of these 450R boats use the Sean Tarenti racing bracket, the jack plate, the STR.
And I'm pretty sure they all use, Hanks, according to Scott Porte, Hanks is using a Porte bracket.
Is he? That's good information to know.
I thought that's what I saw in the post this morning from Scott when he introduced us to Kobe, but I'd want to double check that. But and obviously they all have to run Mercury propellers, but that's one of the reasons why there isn't a huge rush to move on to the 500s for this class, because the 500s have a bigger prop shaft. So the teams would all have to get into all new sets of propellers.
And those
things aren't cheap.
No, I was going to say, it's a huge investment. It's an important investment because without the right, you got to make all the setup changes and decisions based on the conditions. And you need the right propellers to do that. So we watch your top two boats, and now back to the overall leader, Mike Falco, Billy Moore in the DeFalco Doug Wright boat. So they finish up lap number 10 here. Pretty much maybe for just a second didn't have the lead, but pretty much at the end of every lap they've led. That lap turned it just a shade under 80 miles an hour. Go back to the X-Insurance Telecam.
Wow, what's going on here?
And
Montlick is down.
Montlick is not running at speed.
Oh, they are off the pace.
They could have had a Guardian issue. If you're not familiar with Guardian, it's a protection built into Mercury engines that if you get an overheating,
low oil pressure, anything, voltage issue, the engine will basically reduce the amount of power by a percentage, so you can still get home, but you're not going to compete at racing speeds.
It can be reset.
Yep.
And it could
because it looks like they just reset it.
They did.
But now Falco Doug Wright is out to a sizable lead, and you would think their land-based crew has told them this, and just kind of go into cruise control. I'm not sure Billy has that mode, but
I think they've run a pretty conservative race up to this point, knowing that they don't know the boat super well, and then obviously their competition behind them is in the boat for the first time, so they're real lucky. But it's been a nice day for the Doug Wright crew, because their boats have looked pretty well here, and they've been able to keep them to the water. These top two boats, and this one in particular, the new generation 38 Doug Wright, has won 2 of the 3 previous races so far this year, and with double points here in this North American Championship race, a special double points race on the American Powerboat Association season, they're going to jump forward quite a bit.
And Gary Ballou was actually the first to collaborate with Doug Wright all those years ago on a stock boat. After he and Alan Butler moved out of Emotion. Well, there's a little bit of a flyer for Doug Wright DeFalco, but
settle a boat down.
Yep. Not too much is going to catch Billy Moore off guard. He just kind of felt that and said, okay,
in that instance, if you're new to powerboat racing, when the boat came out of the water, the throttle man's got to get off the throttle, is going to lift, and then get right back on them immediately.
Because you want to keep driving the boat forward. You don't want to get it into that up and down off. So the main thing is to keep it flying level and moving forward.
As they come around, continuing to lead, DeFalco, Doug Wright, Mike Falco, Billy Moore turned that one at 79 miles an hour, so they're holding steady now. Got it up to just under 82 on a couple of laps. Pretty much have run it right at about 80 all day long. That's assuming that this is a 4-mile course, of course, which it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
A marathon, we initially started clocking 450R boats, but the course was actually 0.7 miles an hour longer, which will change your mile per hour speeds.
And the team that really got cost there was Dirty Money.
Yes.
Because they were leading, and then they ran out of gas with a commanding lead. So
that's a Super Cat boat that, well, I'll tell you what, that Super Cat racing has been amazing this year.
And gosh, what a place for Britt Lilly to break through with a Super Cat win would be Maryland.
In his
home
waters.
Yeah. That would be very cool to see tomorrow.
Yeah, Britt Lilly teams up with Bill Pyburn
yep.
in Super Cat. Of course, the reigning two-time world champion is out of Lake of the Ozarks. That's Tyler Miller. And in Myra Coyle in the MCOM, Johnny Tomlinson is subbing for Tyler, who has a back that's healing right now. Of course, Billy Moore will be back on the water tomorrow in Great Dell with CJ Grant.
And what a thrash they went through after spinning the boat out.
Yeah, a lot
in
of
Lake of the Ozarks to have it, and it looked fast this morning.
Have it back here tomorrow. You've got Rolling Transport, the SVR short team, Hancock Claims, CR Racing, WHM Motorsports, Billy Moff coming off a win, and he and Jay Muller have been very competitive this year in WHM. They've really got that boat working well in the off season, and always a tough team to beat. They won more Super Cat World Championships since the reset of the class in 2012 than any other team, WHM.
Years ago, when it was open class, Doug Wright had a boat that ran in the class. I think it was like a 38. I would love to see them get a Super Cat out here.
Super Cat Racing is the tip of the spear on American Powerboat Association Racing. You'll see them tomorrow at 2:30 as they'll roar off the waters of Ocean City, Maryland tomorrow afternoon. Heading in off the second to last lap of the day in Factory 450R, DeFalco, Doug Wright. Again, dealing with that groundswell coming across.
Still at about 78.
Still 79.68 miles an hour, just under. And now Mottlick Injury Attorneys is back up and running up and good at speed.
So they must have had a Guardian issue. That's more than likely you would think would have happened. Let's put it that way.
As we look on the back leg with Hank's Saloon, we appreciate them making the journey here at Ocean City. We go back overhead again, the X Insurance Helicam, and watch our leader around the south turn. And out for the final lap of the day. Amazing weather here in Ocean City. The wind's continuing to hold out of the west-northwest under 15 miles an hour. Perfect racing weather, 76 degrees this afternoon. Sunny, beautiful day here on the eastern shore of Maryland.
Yeah, I'm just looking down at the course, and there's a bunch of dolphins playing around out by the start-finish line. But
Doug Wright, 38 Catamaran.
Playing around pretty nicely themselves, too, in this boat. What a way to make a sales pitch. Anyone wants to get in the class.
I always loved that boat. Just a magnificent red, recovery simple,
And that's not an easy color to keep looking nice on a boat in the hot sun. That takes some work to get that right the first time and then keep it that way for sure.
Doug Wright Powerboats jumped on board with the factory 450R class to battle against Marine Technologies, who founded the class. Now we have quite a fleet growing in what will turn out to be an amazing end of the APBA National Series and all the way to the Key West World Championships the second week of November in Key West. And Michelle Crescenti had told me that there's another boat that's going to come out of the Doug Wright factory that may race later this year, which would give you one more Doug Wright than MTI, I believe, racing.
Wonder where they're getting that one rigged.
That's a good question. We'll talk to the Doug Wright guys about that. Maybe have that information for you tomorrow. And here coming back in front of the fans for the final time of the afternoon, DeFalco, Doug Wright, finishing up the day, led every lap as they come back in on this 52-mile course. And they'll take the checkered flag here at the Ocean City Grand Prix.
There's the checkered flag out on the pace boat.
And win those double points in the National Series.
And this, after the start they've had with some weird gremlins and some tough luck in the other boat, this one's got to feel good for Billy and for Mike.
And then we'll look at your number 2 boat, the new generation 38 Doug Wright. Motley Injury Attorneys, they'll take second here today. They'll continue their dominating run on the APBA National Series, now with a commanding lead on the APBA National Championships in Factory 450R. Motley Injury Attorneys team, Logan Adon and Gary Ballou.
Nicely done, gentlemen.
Second place here today at the Ocean City Grand Prix. Well, it was a race that started with a big, oh boy, oh no, which was the turnover of the Gladiator Canados right at the beginning of the race in front of the fans at the start-finish line. Kind of got up into the air. They were on the outside lane, really close to the beach, and caught the sponson, hit bad, went up over. The engine got knocked off on the starboard side. Luckily, though, Eric, they landed back right side up, back on the hull, and did not flip over. Michelle Carcente, Irvin Grant, both okay, but it did pull up a red flag. But that's how the race started. Of the 4 Doug Wrights here to race in Factory 450R. Waiting for the checkered flag.
Be curious to see how quickly the salvage boat deploys to come get that motor.
Oh, I have a feeling it will be pretty soon.
Because I'm also curious how far it moved. Because stuff's moving around out there.
Yeah, I mean, water's a powerful force. There's no doubt.
There's Billy standing on the deck. I think that's Billy. Doesn't look tall enough to be Mike. Mike's a big guy.
He is. He's feeling good, though, coming up out of the cockpit to take a look at his checkered flag. Yeah, he's waving to the crowd. Okay. Victory for Mike Falco.
Geez. We almost lost the guy from the...
Good recovery.
He's got to learn to stay close to those rails.
And there they are. Go. Billy Moore holding the checkered flag. Victory is sweet for Mike Falco in the DeFalco Doug Wright 38 here today. Big hugs and a checkered flag at the Ocean City Grand Prix for Falco and